Welcome. I'm Clyde Vannell, New York State Assembly member for the 33rd Assembly District in Southeast Queens, and I serve as the chair of the Subcommittee of Internet and New Technology. This is a very important program that we're happy to bring to all New Yorkers today. In this program, we're going to show you tips on how to make sure we protect you and your family online from scams and other different kinds of schemes that we fall prey to. Many people from my district and from around the state call my office about scams and call about that they lost money online. And this problem of fraud is happening all across the country to people young and old. And we want to make sure we protect you from these fraudsters. We're also passing laws to make sure that we go after these criminals online. We're excited to partner up with Atlantic Tomorrow's office. And they're going to go through things to show you how to protect yourself online and show you different tips. So we're excited to bring this series to you. And today we have Harry that's going to go through a lot of these steps. Harry, take it away.
You know, we certainly know, and we don't need to repeat this too much, but we live in a very different world than we have just 2 years ago. It's like the perfect storm of threats against us in our personal lives and all of our money and everything else. We have things with COVID, with vaccinations, the shopping season, the holiday season, the political environment, world events. Everybody is trying to leverage this as a way to get us to click on things and to steal our information and steal our money. But we really believe that we can help everybody build a stronger and a safer security culture in the community with partnerships like this, where we're going to be educating people and just creating an awareness of what to look out for and how you can really protect yourself and your family and really the community as a whole. So this education will help you understand some of the common cybersecurity threats. And of course, we want to give information how we can empower you to protect yourself more quickly, easily. And of course, with a lot of the things we're going to talk about, it doesn't even cost any money. So with that being said, there is also some good news, is that it's really never too late or too complicated to protect yourself and your family. So this information that we're going to talk about can really give you some ideas of how to protect yourself against a lot of cyber attacks that can really harm you in many different ways. And we really want people to think of cybersecurity like protecting your home and really what's in it. We all close our doors at night, we lock them. We have an alarm system, maybe motion detectors, cameras. We lock up our valuables in a safe. But if somebody gets the information, gets a key, gets a combination, or we just give them access to our systems, then they really have an easy way to steal everything that's valuable to us. So with that, what we want to do is to look at how we can protect ourselves. So to do this, there's really 8 steps that we're going to talk about today. And they really revolve around the key things that we find are most fundamentally important. We want to talk just basically about these things, so it's not a lot of complicated things here, about what you need to do to back up your data, how to keep your systems updated and configured properly, to install like the best security software that you can find out there, how you protect your credentials, your username and passwords. We also want to talk to people about how they should be creating special accounts for the kids or just for everybody in general. And very important as we start out talking today is how we can be more email and social media safe. Just really know what to look for to protect ourselves. And of course, in the shopping season and all this other information, it gets emailed to us and on social media, how you can watch out for fake advertisements. We'll identify that as well. And the last thing we'll also talk about is so that people are just aware to be careful of what they install on their computers, but also on their phones, and how they use public access when you're out in the world shopping or sitting at a Starbucks. So we talked about the backup. The backup is really important. At the end of the day, people really need to understand that you have to know what information is being stored on your computer and where you're storing it. Like if it's just in My Documents or you have a folder on your computer, just understand what is on there and where you have it. And the reason we do that is because maybe an easy way to back up and again, it doesn't cost any money, is you can just make copies of your files from your PC to maybe an external memory stick or USB drive. It doesn't cost anything except for to buy the drive. There's also a lot of things which we get for free, like from Google and Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive or even Dropbox, where you can have it automatically synchronize your important files. But synchronizing is a little bit different than backup. Online backup's actually creating a good copy that doesn't change every time you do a backup. And again, there are a lot of free systems out there that you can do this with. But the important thing is once you know your valuable information, you need to start backing up somehow immediately. Really, the best way to do a backup is there's great software out there which is very inexpensive that could take a whole snapshot of everything on your computer so that you don't have to guess what you're backing up and maybe you don't miss something that you really needed. And it can do it automatically. A lot of people do the combination of all these above things. They can make some copies to get to quicker, and they can also take a whole image backup of their machines as well. Again, a lot of great software out there to do it, and a lot of the stuff you can also get free versions, which are limited but work very well. So it's also important to think that you can back up to these external hard drives, or you can also back up to the cloud. Either one is great, both is even better, but again, the key is to at least do one of them. And with backups, it's great when you can make it so that your backups happen automatically and they happen frequently. On Macs, you can use Time Machine. On a lot of the Windows computers out there and your phones as well, you could set them for automatic backup as well, which is very important to do because if something happens, you can always restore it. And very importantly, don't forget to test your ability to get your data back. So every once in a while, check your backups to make sure they're actually working. So along with this is that, we have to understand that everything out there has a vulnerability, all the software, all the hardware. And at some point, every vulnerability will be exploited by a bad guy. So we want to keep our systems really updated and configured properly so that they cannot be, so they are more immune really to the threats from the bad guys. So in every computer, you can set your Windows operating systems or your Mac operating system or your phones to automatically update. Critically important. We got to close all those vulnerabilities that are out there in our software. It's also very important to take inventory of the software that you have. A lot of times we'll just install an application because we think it's cool, whether it's on our computer or more importantly on our phones. If you really don't need it, it's a vulnerability that's waiting to happen, so get rid of it, uninstall it. Same thing with old files. Make sure you go through all your old files on your computer, old tax returns, health information. Again, if it's old, you don't need it, get rid of it. Less of a chance of it finding its way out into the dark web or to somebody else's hands. Our browsers, we like our Microsoft Edge or our Chrome or Firefox or Safari. Make sure you keep that updated as well because they do a lot of security updates. And you can find all this information on the manufacturer's websites or just on YouTube. Just click search for it and you can find it right away. I'll show you how to do it. And as I mentioned, don't forget about your cell phone. It's an extension of our life, so make sure we keep that updated as well. With that in mind, we have to know that we always hear about all the ransomware, the viruses and spyware and all the hackers out there. So we want to make sure that we can install software that will allow us to protect ourselves. So along with keeping your systems fully updated and configured properly, go out there and look for some of the best antivirus software out there. It's definitely worth its weight because it does more than just protect you against the viruses and malware. These software programs, which usually are talked about as total protection, can block malware from installing itself, even ransomware sometimes. It can look for malicious emails that are trying to trick you to click on things. It can prevent you from going to malicious links to bad websites. And also sometimes can identify what we call malvertising, which, as you can expect, is malicious advertising. And we'll talk about that a little more as well. They also scan your systems for vulnerabilities and they can secure your browser like we talked about on the previous screen. And the other thing the software does, it looks for malicious behavior. Like if somebody does get into it, it can identify if something's going on that's not normal. So those things are really, really great. And of course, like before, we want to set these software so it automatically updates. Some great ones for you to look at is Bitdefender and Kaspersky. Those are the two top ones out there, and they're available for your phones, your PCs, and your Macs. Definitely worth the investment. Of course, there's also free ones out there too. Let me just go back to that slide for 1 second. There's also free versions out there which do a lot of these things, but not all of them. So free ones are good. The paid ones are actually a lot better. So we also want to tell people the first thing you should do when we get off this call today is go to the website called Have I Been Pawned? It's spelled just like this. It's not a mistake. In that website, you can put your email address. It'll tell you if your email has been stolen or got out to the dark web through any number of different ways that it can get out there. So once you've done that, regardless, what you should try to do is use long and complex passwords, or even maybe a passphrase like, I like rainy days on the beach. Those kind of things are very difficult for the bad guys to crack. And you really need to pay extra attention to your email, your social media, and any financial sites that you log into. That's where people like to go in there and get information about you and steal stuff from you. And periodically, you really should change your passwords. And the reason for that is because passwords are constantly getting stolen from all sites around the world, or maybe they get it from your email by you entering information in inadvertently. To make that easier, use a password manager. They're great. They're really, really good. And they'll prevent you from having to remember all these different passwords. The other thing you should always do is use what we call multi-factor authentication or two-factor. It's better than the best password. It's like you use at your bank where you basically try to log in and it sends a code to your phone and you click accept, or you just enter the code in. Definitely use it on your social media accounts as well. And of course, if your bank has it, like we were talking about above, definitely make sure you enable it. And maybe use a dark web monitoring service. I've Been Pawned has one of those, but good also to see if your stuff's got out there when you don't want it to be. Just knowing gives you a lot of actionable things you can do to protect yourself. So in terms of password managers, there's a couple great free ones like Dashlane, LastPass, 1Password, and MyKey. They're great, they work well, and they're free. They have paid versions as well. So I talked about earlier also that we want to use different user accounts. And this builds on the previous slide that we were talking about. Don't use the same login information for all your different accounts, because if somebody gets a hand on your login and password and you use it for everything, they'll be able to breach everything you have. I would also give family members different logins and limit permissions. And what I mean by that basically is, restrict activities so that if you're logged into a site or your kids are logged into a site, then you can prevent them from installing something which may be dangerous. And what you should always do is create one master account on your computer. That master account will give you the ability to do everything you need to on that computer and prevent somebody who has your kid's password from accessing and changing everything to their advantage. So that's a great thing to do. We talked about, of course, being social media safe. Again, if you keep your systems updated and you already have the best antivirus software, be aware of what to look for. And I'm going to show you some things in a minute about how you can look in your email to know if something's safe or not. I would say don't accept just any friend request, just from anybody. Make sure you have a good friend list and you only accept people requests that you know of. And go through your friends list and clean it up. Get rid of the old ones, people you don't know who they are. Again, on all social media accounts, create separate accounts to restrict your kids' activity. Don't let them get in trouble and monitor what they do. Also, be very careful what you install, especially, on your phone, and we'll talk about that also. And very important, be careful what you post, because anybody who is a friend of yours can see it. And once it's out there, it's hard or impossible to take it back. So when I talked about email, this is what an email can look like. But here's what you can do to help protect yourself. Look who the email's coming from. If you don't know the person that you automatically, not a friend or somebody, don't click on it, or give it a little more eyeballing, make sure it's good. Look how they sent it to you. If it doesn't look like it's sent directly to your name, but you were CC'd or copied from a bigger list, it's it's probably a spam email. You can look at the date, but more important than the date is the time. If you have a friend that it looks like it's coming from a friend who sent you an email, but if it's at 3 o'clock in the morning, most likely it's not your friend. Look at the subject line. This is where they get a lot of people. These common ones like your FedEx package is rerouted, your Chase bank account is locked, they verify your account information, maybe something looks like came from work about bonuses or vacation schedules. If something like that and it just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Most importantly, any attachment from somebody you don't know, you really need to be very careful about that because it could have viruses built in it. As soon as you click on it, it can get you infected with ransomware or something else. Same thing with hyperlinks. If you see a link in an email, and again, you're not sure about it, just hover your mouse over it and it'll tell you exactly where it's from. So if it looks like Bank of America, if Bank of America is spelt wrong, or when you hover over it, it goes to somewhere else, it'll show you right on the screen, don't click on it. That could take it to a bad site. And overall, just look at the content. If something doesn't look right in the email or they're asking you to do something very quickly, probably not a good thing to click on or to take the action that they're asking you to take. So we talk about fake ads, especially around holiday time. Again, if we install the best security software, this can prevent you clicking on something that looks good, but when you click on it, it takes you to a dangerous website. So, dangerous sites, can really be malicious, and you have to really look at them to be sure that if you clicked on a Best Buy ad, you're still on a Best Buy site before you put your credit card information in there. These are things you just really need to know what to look for. So when you confirm the web address, you want to look at it. Does it have this HTTPS in there? That just means it's secure and it's probably safe. But again, look at the whole web address. Maybe what you want to do is just manually go to Best Buy, just type bestbuy.com in and go there yourself without clicking on the ad to get the same discounts that you're looking for. So when we're installing apps, as I talked about before, just very briefly, and using public Wi-Fi, you need to be careful. Use discretion when you're downloading anything to your phones or your computers. Only install applications from reputable sources, like directly from the manufacturer or Best Buy's website, or from Play Store or Apple Store or the manufacturer. Don't click on any unexpected emails or social media links to download applications. They could very well be infected or be malicious. Don't allow your kids to install anything they want on their computers. Again, you never know what's going to happen. Require a password confirmation when you try to install applications. So in your computer, you can configure it to give you something like you see over here that's saying, hey, this is trying to install. Put your password in before you will install it. And again, periodically check all the apps that you have and remove any that you're not using, as we talked about earlier. And, I would never log into any sensitive accounts while you're on public Wi-Fi, like you're sitting at a Starbucks or a train station at the airport. Don't go to your bank account. If you need to, you can install something called a VPN, but we're not going to get into that deeply. I would just say anything in the public, protect your data. So these are really important things here to make sure that you do it with your computers. So overall, I know we talked about a lot, but these items in red are the important ones. Back your data up, keep your systems updated, and install the best antivirus software you can find. It can protect you in many ways. Using long and complex passwords and multi-factor authentication, where it's asking you for a code on your phone, definitely use it. It can really save your life and your data and all your information. Create those user accounts for all your family members. Be aware of the social media and email, what to look for, especially in the day and age that we live in. Watch for those fake ads. Make sure that when you click on something, it's taking you to the right place. And be careful what apps you're installing on your computer. And the last thing we didn't talk about, but you can encrypt your data. Don't want to get into that too much. It's a little more complicated. But all these other things we talked about, a lot of can be done for free. You can learn how to do them very easily just by going to YouTube or going to your manufacturer's websites. The most important thing is taking action now before you have a problem. Hindsight can cost you a lot of money in this case. So we really want to thank everybody for spending these few minutes with us. It's critically important, especially in the world we live in. We just want everybody to be aware, be proactive, and be protected. Be safe in the holiday season. Thank you very much.
Wow. Harry, great job. And thank you for sharing that information with us. And for you that are watching, thank you for watching and participating with this program. As we stated, it's very important, especially during this holiday season and moving forward, that you are safe online and that you're using the best practices to make sure you protect yourselves and your family. We want to make sure that you and everyone else in New York State are protected online. For more information, please follow me on social media, Clyde Vannell on all the socials. Also, you can follow my subcommittee, the Subcommittee on Internet and New Technologies. Moving forward, we'll have more programs and more information in the technology space and also the cybersecurity space and other things. Happy holidays. Protect your family. Please follow us. We want to thank Atlantic, Tomorrow's Office, and everyone else that helped put this program together. Happy holidays.